Hey there, wonderful teachers. Today I want to talk you through my process for composing with piano students. If you've never tried composing with your piano students before, I highly encourage you to give it a go. It is so much fun, and best part, it is such a good way to teach music theory because your students won't even notice that they have to learn about note stems and key signatures and all sorts of things in order to write down their composition. I do a big composing project in my studio each and every year, and I always release it up on the blog for other teachers to use as well. So there's a link to the latest one directly below this video. It's called Fantastic Fiction. And in this video, I just want to talk you through the process so that you feel even more confident going forward with it and trying it out with your students. This particular project starts with a brainstorming page about their favorite fiction. So what they do here is they write their favorite books, 2 of them, or films, in the center bubble, and then they come up with scenes or characters from that book or film in the outer bubble so that they have 10 different ideas that they might use for their composition. After that, they choose one of those ideas and they think about the mood. So there's a whole list of adjectives here so that they can think through what would best describe that person or that place or that thing that happened. So for example, let's say they choose Voldemort, someone did in my studio this year. Then maybe they're not going to say he's busy or loyal or happy, are they? Maybe they say he's wild, maybe they say he's shrill, maybe they say he's cruel and nasty and hard. So they give some mood or adjectives to describe the mood of the character or scene, and then they from that think about what kind of music they might be creating. This is all still in the abstract, so there's minor key or major key, long notes, slow tempo, fast notes, those kind of decisions that they can start to think it through. And then we get into the process of composing. And the way I approach composing with my students is that they do the melody first, and then the harmony, and then all the details. There's tons of different ways to approach it, but I like to do it this way around just to give them a step-by-step process that they can follow, and to give your students one too. So we start with an A motif, and they come up with 3 different ideas for that, and then a B motif, and they come up with 3 different ideas for that, and then they put them together and they learn about form or patterns. So there's all the different options of combining A and B up the top, and they simply pick one. Quick little tip here, if your students are struggling to pick between the different forms, some students get a bit overwhelmed by all those choices, then just ask them, which one do they want last? We know A is first. Which one do they want last? A or B? Which one's going to be the ending? And once they decide on that, I just cross off all the other options that aren't relevant anymore and then talk them through those so that they can take it step by step and just go, okay, well, the obvious choice is A, B, B, A, or whatever they land upon. On this page, they also write in, so they choose their form, then they write in the A, B, B, A, for example, and then they copy across their melody, getting some more practice with notation. They copy across their 2 melodies that they've got. Could be in the bass clef if they prefer, or the treble clef for most students, and they have space there that they can start thinking about adding the left hand or the harmony, depending on which hand it's in. So once they get to adding the harmony, I usually give them a few ideas, especially my beginner students. I have a lot of young students, so let's say they come up with a melody that's just right? I would always show them a few different options with that. So I would say, okay, you could have a single note in your left hand. You could have a chord. You could have an open fifth. Or you could have the similar motion, same thing, both hands. You could start in a different spot in your left hand and still do it in similar motion. Or, right? You could have it in contrary motion, so you use the same fingers, but end up on different notes. Okay, so those are the options I normally give my beginner students. I've also talked you through more options in the PDF, and the main thing I'd say is get them to take out their pieces and look at them. Any pieces that they're learning to play will have ideas, they'll have things that they can take from and try out in their piece and see if they like it and move it around and chop it up a bit and land upon what they like. After they have their harmony, we go to step 6, which is dynamics and articulation. And this is one of the magical pixie dust elements of teaching composing, because when your students actually add dynamics and articulation to their own piece, they will learn to care about it in other composers' pieces as well. It's like this transformation of, oh, I put it in there because, I want them to play a certain way. And I would be disappointed if people didn't follow my directions. So they start to get the idea that, oh, composers actually thought this through. There's a reason they have it there. They wanted to sound like Voldemort. They wanted to sound like such and such is happening at that point. And it's actually worthwhile to follow the dynamics. Who would have thunk it, eh? And then the last 2 pages of the PDF are just space to write out the draft piece and the final piece. After that, I actually have students notate their piece, or I notate it for them, depending on their age, in MuseScore, which is totally free, and there's a tutorial here on the channel about how to do that as well, that will help you to, or your students, to notate the piece in MuseScore and get it all printed out and looking so professional and fantastic. I hope that you'll give one of these composing projects a go or try out composing in your studio. If you have any questions about the process, leave them in the comments below, and make sure to go to the link to the blog to grab your free PDF of the Fantastic Fictions project.